Hey, what's up my people? This is Ice Restrict 12 and today we're gonna go over a brand new archetype that is coming out of the set Burst of Destiny that's right around the corner. Now this new archetype is supposed to be a competitive deck, absolutely. Actually not just a competitive deck, but it's also kind of poised to be a tier 1 contender. Now this archetype that I'm talking about of course is Swordsoul. Now the thing that makes Swordsoul really cool is that it's based on synchro summoning, but unlike most synchro summoning decks where you need to search for those tuners, this archetype allows you to special summon tokens to your side of the field that are tuners. Thus, they facilitate synchro summoning, so you don't have to spend so many resources trying to find specific cards. Most of their starters will automatically special summon a token that is a tuner to your side of the field. Now, this archetype as well has the ability to bring out very powerful level 8 synchro monsters from your extra deck. So with all those tools in their arsenal, it is poised to be an amazing and competitive strategy. Let's go ahead and break it down a little bit, see what we can do to beat it. Because believe me, you're gonna see this at your locals and major events. So let's go ahead and prepare for it and be ready. Alright guys, let's go ahead and get started. So the first cards I want to talk about is the level 4 starters. This is composed of Swordsoul Moye and Swordsoul Teia. Now what these two cards do is upon their summoning, they're going to allow you to special summon those tuner tokens that you're going to need to go into your synchro monsters. Now what you want to do with these two cards is the moment they hit the field, you want to make sure you negate those effects. So cards like Effect Failure and Infinite Impermanence will help you stop those plays from happening. Now these cards also have a secondary effect that when they're sent to the graveyard, they activate certain effects that will give you more advantage, but only if they're sent to the graveyard because they were used for a synchro summon. So in summary, what you want to do with these two cards is just, if possible, try to save that Effect Failure, that Infinite Impermanence for any of these two cards. Very well guys, let's go ahead and move forward. Now the real Achilles heel of this archetype, and what I think kind of ties the whole thing together, is their need to banish cards. This archetype needs to banish cards not only to activate certain effects, but also a lot of the removal that they have is through banishing, which is actually a really good form of removal, and I think that's one of those qualities of this deck that is going to put them up in the tier 1 category. You know, a lot of cards have protection and this will be able to bypass that. Now their need to banish is also going to be a little bit of their Achilles heel in a way. So we're thinking about cards like Imperial Iron Wall to be able to stop them. Other options that you have available is also Artifact Lancias, which will stop any form of banishing for that turn. And cards like Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion will stop banishing from happening in the graveyard, which this archetype does rely on. Now, some of the cards that you are going to be targeting for this is their spells and traps, because they all have different things that they do to support this archetype, but the one thing they all have in common is that they can be banished from the graveyard to give you additional effects. And by having cards that prevent them from banishing, you will be able to shut down those effects that will give them even more advantage. And finally guys, another card that I don't hear a lot of people talking about that can pretty much stop this deck is Goes and Match. Now the reason why Goes and Match can absolutely stop this deck is because most of the Swordsoul monsters are the same type. They're worm type monsters, but they have different attributes. You have water attributes, wind attributes, fire attributes, light attributes, and so on and so forth. So a well-timed Goes and Match will leave your opponent with the option of either stopping their plays and kind of taking a step back from what they were going to do, or it might actually just stop them completely depending how they choose to build their deck. So Goes and Match is going to be a card that actually in this meta is seeing a lot of play along with Rivalry of Warlords, because decks tend to rely, even if it's one solid archetype, their extenders sometimes tend to be cards that are not even part of the archetype, and they might be a different type or a different attribute. In the case of Swordsoul, it is very consistent in the fact that they're all worms, but they all have different attributes. Even some of the cards that synergize with this archetype very well happen to be, different attributes. It's not like a mono attribute support that they're going to be using with this particular deck. So a card like Goes and Match will definitely be an amazing addition to any strategy that is trying to counter Swordsouls. Now that is the end of the video guys. I wanted to keep it nice and short. This is basically the big picture of what this deck can and cannot do and how to stop it. Be prepared for it though. There's some strategies that you're kind of like on the fence, right? Are you going to see them a lot, or they're not going to be, very widely used? But Swordsoul is absolutely one of those decks that I can guarantee you, give it a couple weeks, you're going to start seeing them in your locals and any important events as we move forward in this new format. All right, guys. Well, thank you for taking the time to watch my videos. I really appreciate it, guys. Your support means everything to me. If you enjoy my content, please give me a like, subscribe, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.